Did you hear? Farts spread coronavirus. And yeah, that stinks. According to researchers, flatulence is an aerosol-generating action that spreads the virus through the air. This discovery emerges from Australia, but I'll resist the urge to say this finding came from down under. We went to an expert for comment.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
I guess that makes him patient zero. But it makes sense. If a sneeze or a cough can propel viruses, why can't air biscuits? If it's true, then we finally have an illness we can blame on the dog. But this is why we wear pants and masks, which are just tidy whities for the mouth. Masks are now becoming acceptable accessories. Along with social hygiene practices, they're now behaviors we encourage, like not littering and not shoplifting and not taking Don Lemon seriously. You know, it's funny. It's no longer weird to wear a mask. It's weird if you don't, unless you're this guy. You know, Congressman, if you're going to create a mask on the fly, make sure it's not your spouse's bikini bottoms. Yeah, that's abnormal. But in order for us to get back to normal, we got to do some abnormal things. Because it's you and me who are going to lead all of us out of this mess. And we need to be trusted to do the right thing. Because unlike our leaders, we can share the risk. We can say, let's go back to work with protocols in place. And yes, there's a risk the disease will return. But that is the risk, and we as a country share it and will act accordingly. See, we can do that, so our leaders follow. Because the reverse may not happen. Leaders are fearful of risk because the media hangs all the casualties around their necks. But if we share the risk, the media can't attack all of us. A media full of hacks who can see the future, as long as that future already happened. They are the hindquarters of hindsight, and they just can't stop.
This is exactly the kind of chaos this president has brought to bear on the crisis from the very beginning. Now that we've got over 46,000 Americans dead because of it.
The president, though, is peddling dangerous suggestions on how to treat coronavirus, including injecting a person with disinfectant.
But it took a, colorblind, gender blind, state line blind virus to sort of have all of the president's sins from his first 3 years catch up with him. I wonder what you think about whether or not there's some silver lining there.
So the silver lining to 50,000 dead is that it really hurts that guy I hate with every fiber of my being. What a sad soul to be so emotionally wrecked that she finds a silver lining in mass death. But what do I know? I'm just a guy who'll do anything to work in a fart joke. Speaking of fart jokes, what stinks, is dumber than crap, and is mayor of New York? Yeah, did you know he was shocked that inmates he released from jail over fears they'd get sick ended up reoffending? I know, a surprise. I wonder what else shocks de Blasio. Big things are heavy? Fire is hot? No one likes him? Yeah, this tall drink of dope said it was unconscionable that these criminals would commit crime. Yet this moron on stilts was relying on the principles of thugs. Worse, after he realized downplaying the virus was wrong, he urged citizens to narc on each other.
When you see a crowd, when you see a line that's not distanced, when you see a supermarket that's too crowded, anything, you can report it right away so we can get help there to fix the problem. And now it's as simple as taking a photo. All you got to do is take the photo and put the location with it, and bang, send a photo like this, and we will make sure that enforcement comes right away.
Wow. Amazing. He's turning citizens into a modern Stasi, a surefire way to divide people in a time of crisis. Who thinks like this? But thank God for Americans, because the response to this ass is distinctly, wonderfully American. When he announced the tip line to send pictures of your law-breaking neighbors, what did you patriots do? You flooded his narco line with porn, pictures of genitalia, and also de Blasio, although it's hard to tell the difference. And so I must stop and say, I love you. I do. It's the greatest thing you could do as an American, America. When some big brother bozo urges you to turn in your fellow man, you send him porno shots. If the founding fathers were alive right now, they'd kiss your feet and then look at the porn. Now, I know these other outdoor protests are complicated. On one hand, they're protesting government overreach, which makes them as American as a pickup truck full of smaller pickup trucks. On the other hand, which I can't touch, They're congregating, which could spread the virus. If we slam the spring breakers, then we got to do the same here. It's wrong to protest without protection. But what's also wrong? Rich celebrities who fashioned themselves allies of the working class now mocking the actual working class. You know who's not mocking the working class? This guy. He put a hold on green cards. Makes sense. If you're not letting Americans out to work, why let workers in to work? Of course, this will be called racist because that's what the media does. It trivializes a word until it has no meaning. Never mind that halting new green cards is what you do when temporary unemployment skyrockets. An idiot would simply invite more people into a sinking boat. The stoppage actually helps the minorities here. Trump also helped the little guy by demanding Harvard return the millions it got in business aid from the government. So Harvard did. See, it never hurts to ask or demand in public. Still, Harvard says they didn't ask for the bailout, so I guess the money just wanted to go to Harvard. But the media ignored that story, and I've had it with them. I can tolerate their divisive BS when we're wasting time talking about budgets, climate change, and whether the Oscars are diverse enough. But not here. This is the future of America we're talking about. This ain't transgendered restrooms. This behavior is selfish and gross, which is why you have to be your own journalist. Focus on facts and not narratives. We are faced with adult questions, and every decision from here on out carries a risk. Going back to work won't be easy, but we can't not go back. It's not in the cards or our blood. We have the roadmap, and it's over rocky terrain. We know that the virus, even if it flattens, can return. America's a battlefield, and once we pull back, the enemy can again come out of hiding. But we can't remain in hiding forever. We need to come back in phases with options that allow for retreat when necessary. Or maybe just trust Americans to know how to avoid hazards to their own health, especially if the hazard looks like this. Man, that does stink.
Period.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's a former SEAL with nerves of steel. His new book is called Fortitude, American Resilience in the Era of Outrage. Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw. She loves to get in everyone's business. Fox Business Network anchor Dagan McDowell. She buys half and half at Whole Foods and whole milk at half price. Host of Sincerely Cat on Fox Nation, Cat Tim. And he carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. And that's just his warm-up. My massive sidekick and host of Nuff Said on Fox Nation, Tyrus. Yes. All right, Congressman, thank you for coming on the show. Can you give us an assessment of how this whole thing is going? And do you share any optimism? What are your worries?
Wow. It's a general question, so I'll give you a general answer. How is it going? Well, listen, we have tens of millions of people out of work, and they're not sure when they're getting back to work. That's obviously not good news. And there's a lot of people suffering out there, and there's a lot of people shaming those people suffering because they want to get back to work. I anticipated this problem, which you noted in your monologue weeks ago. I wrote an op-ed in The Hill about this. This disingenuous, bad faith argumentation that would start to occur when somebody asks the worst kind of question you can ask, which is, how many lives is it worth to save one job? That's a disgusting question. You know, Governor Cuomo, who I think a lot of people would agree has kind of had his ups and downs, but has been generally level-headed during his press conferences. But he came out and attacked a reporter with that line of reasoning sometime within the past week. And I thought it was such a step backwards. It's such a step backwards in how we have to discuss moving forward in a staged reopening, a smart reopening. But we can't pretend that there's a choice here. We have to get back to a new normal. I'm not saying rock concerts and a million people crammed together kind of normal, but obviously a new normal, and it has to start sooner than later, and we have to have that conversation.
Definitely. Tyrus, let's say states reopen. Do you think people are going to do all the things they used to do? I mean, is it just going to be like flipping a switch?
No. No, I think we're going to come back wiser and smarter. You know, I think that when we do flip the switch, we'll have gloves on and a mask. I think people will really, the general consensus will be the head nod will be more fashionable than the handshake. Yes. And I think that's a good thing. I know you personally are very excited about not having to touch people. But I think overall we'll take the lessons that we've learned during this pandemic and add them to our new norm. So there'll be some changes, but eventually over time, we'll find ways to get back to the things that we like to do. It's just going to take some time and some patience. There's always going to be that one person that's going to want to, hey, let's get a hug, brother, and just be like, it was socially, you made him feel bad. Now you're, hey, I'm trying to help America. Don't touch me.
Yeah. You know, Dagan, it is ironic that in the era of social distancing and not touching, it's Joe Biden who's running for president. But I'll leave that there. How do you feel about the economy? How is it going to come back? Is it going to come back slow? I keep hearing about the vertical V. I don't even know what that means.
It means a rapid bounce back. That's what it means. So later in the year, it's like, whammo, the economy takes off.
Yes.
That's not going to happen. There are a lot of businesses that won't be able to come back that quickly. Like any kind of large gathering, whether it's at I know you know nothing about large gatherings, Greg, because you're a hermit, but like theme parks and movie theaters and rock concerts and things like that, that's going to be a long time away. Literally, we aren't going to be able to do that until there's a vaccine out there. But some businesses, I was talking earlier about like a dog grooming business, like just shove your dog in the door of the business and leave. Don't leave the leash. Why can't that business come back? I can go through a long list, but you know what? I just want to highlight there's a new embrace of every family's wrecking ball. And I mean, there's one person in every family who is just bat crazy.
Right.
And now, you know, the person you never want to go to the Harris Teeter with because they're going to pick a fight with somebody at the like shopping cart depot out in the parking lot. But now those people, because they will go to the grocery store or the drugstore with you and they will part crowds like Moses, like the Red Sea, and holler at people like, get back, get back, get back, back, you know. So I see like a future for all people just like me.
That's good. You know, Kat, what do you make of de Blasio? There's so many, well, there's not much you can make of him. What are your thoughts?
I am so grateful for Bill de Blasio. It's not that I like him. I think he's arrogant. I think he's inept. But the thing is, everyone agrees with me, right? New York is one of the most diverse cities in the entire world. And yet, the one thing that we can maybe all agree on that unifies us all is that Bill de Blasio is a schmuck and he definitely murdered that groundhog. So I think that it's awful that we're so divided during this time of crisis. And I hear people go on and on about how we need to remember our common values, blah, 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 blah. We do. That's true. But I also don't think that common disgust, especially when it's warranted in a situation like this, gets enough credit for being such a unifying force. Bring us together.
Wow, and what a unifying moment to end this segment on. We got a lot more stuff coming, but we got to take a break. Stick around, but keep your distance. Stuck in our cells, we become Orson Welles. It's the subject of our latest chapter of... Apparently some people can't handle being at home without making helpful videos on their phones. This week's Scorsese, Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner. He unleashed what can only be described as one of the most disgusting videos to ever hit the internet. And I've seen them all, even the German ones. The topic of Warner's video, how to make a tuna melt. Hope you got a strong stomach.
What do we need? Well, we need some bread, we need mayonnaise, we need cheese, and we need good old-fashioned tuna. I love mayo. I know my kids hate mayo, but make sure you get plenty on both sides. You gotta make sure you distribute this evenly across the bread in a way that's even and appropriate. Usually about 30 seconds. Tuna melt extraordinaire. You can whip up this favorite in virtually no time.
Oh my God. That made Two Girls, One Cup look tame. But Warner's not alone. From Cardi B to Rod Blagojevich, everyone's making lame videos that are either too long, too boring, or too stupid.
I'm here to show you a step-by-step approach to how you make a face mask. Now, it's easier than you might think, and yet it's challenging. This right here, a sewing machine. This is something that you need some skill on. I've never ever used one. You put the elastic on the inside, okay? Why? Because here's what you're gonna do. You're about to make a sandwich.
Wow, that Blogo video went on for 12 minutes. I got a black belt in less time at the Gap. But Warner's video wasn't even the worst sandwich video I saw this week. Right, Adam Schiff?
Step 1, warm the bread. Wait for it. Wait for it. Next, slice the onion. I love a sliced onion. Always brings a tear to my eye. Last step. Enjoy. Mm. Mm.
That was beautiful. Kat, you love to cook at home, or so I've heard. What do you make of that tuna melt?
Yeah, see, I get the theme of the segment is that these people are posting these mundane things that nobody wants to watch. But I have live streamed myself eating soup on YouTube before, and it wasn't even during a pandemic. I was at a restaurant with friends. But the sandwich I can make fun of because I know that you're not supposed to microwave a tuna melt. Now, I only know how to cook using a microwave, but then I just cook other stuff. So am I any better than this guy? I can't say that I am, but I can say that I know that, which does make me kind of better.
Yes. You know, Congressman, one of the issues I see with politicians when they fail is when they bend over backwards to appear real or human, then they look even more non-human than ever. Have you ever been tempted to try to show that you're, I don't know, authentic or real?
Yeah, so I was going to hit that exact point. So this is my message to my fellow politicians. If you're not cool and relatable in real life, social media will not make you cool and relatable. Yeah. That's just a fact.
No.
Like, and what is this weird tuna melt with like the a consumption of mayonnaise? It's like a French tuna melt. Yes. It's like, it's so strange. You know, you remember Elizabeth Warren did her beer video where it's like, oh, that is not natural. Please don't do that. Just here's the other thing I want to add. There's all this ice cream being put out, $12 ice cream from Nancy Pelosi's fridge and this excessive French tuna melt. Listen, these things are not healthy. We have a pandemic going on and comorbidities are a problem here. Do not encourage bad eating behavior. Okay. If you're going to put out videos, like put out some healthy eating videos. Like let's put out some workout videos. Let's be productive members of society. That's my only message there.
That's a great point, actually. Dagan, I have a theory that the reason why Blago's video was so long is because he was in prison and had lost the concept of time. That he thought that this is just 15 minutes out of 12 years. Dropping the buckets. He doesn't understand YouTube. That we only take 40-second shots.
We've lost the concept of a lot of things, and again, that looks like a panty. Looks like a
I thought that too.
We've lost the concept of a lot of things being so isolated, because why did I think it was a good idea to wear an army green acid wash jumpsuit on your show tonight? But to credit to Senator Warner, one of the senators from my home state, that microwave tuna melt isn't even in the top 10 of the grossest stuff that we've all eaten since we've been at home. Before I got here a few hours ago, I was dipping half-price Cadbury eggs in baba ganoush, so I have no room to criticize him.
That's how, what you're doing is you're saving your stomach time. And it's going to end up like that down there anyway, so get them together. Tyrus, you've done some really good exercise videos with your wife, which is fun and to Congressman's point, and healthy. But how can a man not know how to make a sandwich?
Well, the reason why the videos with my wife work so much is because I have that thing. What's it called? Charisma. I'm fun. People like me. I don't think of things like, hey, let's show the world how lonely and sad I really am. The tuna melt is not the worst part of that video. The cry for help is, he's like, my kids don't like mayonnaise. I'm alone. He's in the kitchen. He's not showing you how he makes food for everyone in the house. Or this is how I make a meal of 4 or 5 for my family. It's him alone, close to the microwave, talking to the microwave, because the microwave beeps back after 30 seconds. He was very lonely, sad. It was literally, please look at me. Anyone look at me. Please subscribe. Tell me that I'm okay. And the good news is like, hey, they hated the tuna melt more than you do. But I think it's the other way around.
I hear you. They're not pros like me. Time for a break. Go change your mask.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Ashley Strohmeyer. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will be back on the job Monday morning. His office making the announcement last night. Johnson has been recuperating at his country home after being struck by the coronavirus earlier this month. He spent 3 days in intensive care at a London hospital. And the British government says 813 more people died Saturday. That makes the United Kingdom the 5th country in the world to report 20,000 deaths from the virus. Now, globally, more than 200,000 people have now died. The U.S. Navy reporting that coronavirus cases on board the guided missile destroyer USS Kidd nearly doubled on Friday from 18 to 33. The Kidd carries a crew of 350 and is currently off the Pacific coast of South America. 2 crew members were evacuated to the U.S. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer. Now back to the Greg Gutfeld Show.
What a pal. He has an Al. This week on Earth Day, remember that? Joe Biden got the endorsement of former VP Al Gore. It happened on Joe's virtual town hall podcast. I didn't even know that existed. Al Gore, a man who needs no introduction, but Joe gave him one anyway.
As a young House member, Al held the first congressional hearing on climate change. And he wrote the groundbreaking book, Earth in the Balance, almost 30 years ago.
Cough into your elbow. Sorry, Joe, I interrupted. Continue introducing Al Gore.
And he was awarded, and I think it's so amazing, Al, awarded the Nobel Prize in 2007 for your efforts to raise the world's attention to the existential threat of our time, climate change. And I introduced one in a very small way. I introduced one of the first ever bills.
Stop touching your face. I never thought I'd say this, but I wish Al Gore would say something right now. Al, this election, is this a no-brainer?
This is a no-brainer. This is a real simple choice. And if anybody has any doubt about that, come talk to me.
Well, it's too early to tell how the coveted Al Gore endorsement will impact the Biden campaign. But recent polls show Biden's favorability is rising after getting nods from Obama, Sanders, and Warren. So I guess it's all about endorsements. Right, Joe?
And now, Joe Biden on endorsements.
I already got all the endorsements I need this year. Come on, I got Hulk, Thor. Who's that guy in the metal suit? Metal Man? Love him. Love metal. But it ain't no jazz. Because jazz is from Utah. We're going to be making Utah a swing state. That's right. That means you're going to be able to hook up with whoever you want. That's what I'm about. Florida. Once I nail down that Epcot endorsement, that's 11 more countries on Team Joe. That's right, count them up. We're going international, like the International House of Pancakes. Good restaurant. Text Joe to once, twice, 3 times a lady. I love you.
Oh, my God, that was beautiful. All right, Dagan. Joe Biden's not leaving his basement. Is he like that marathon runner in quarantine who decides to run the race in his house and thinking that that's going to make it? I don't know.
Well, he can't leave his house because he can't stop hacking and rubbing his face. So you've got to lock him in the basement. Al Gore, on the other hand, and I've warned about this before, he is way too tan. where has he been? He's clearly not been sheltering in place, not staying in his house. What was he taking? A yacht to the Galapagos? But by the way, what does this Al Gore endorsement really get Joe Biden? Nobody knows who he is. People squint at him and think he's Alec Baldwin, maybe. I was saying, like, if his theme song should be Chumbawamba's Tub Thumpin'. That's Al Gore era.
Yeah, you know, Congressman, we really, the thing that's going to determine, I guess, this election was something we never saw coming. This pandemic. I mean, this thing has completely, completely changed everything. Can you even make sense of how this is going to go, this election?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little too early to tell, but listen, let's get serious for a second here. There's going to be a big comparison between how Trump handled the pandemic and how Biden would have handled the pandemic. And if we're making an objective assessment there, we have to look back in time and look at forks in the road. Okay, what would Biden have done versus what Trump did do? Okay, that would be an objective way to look at this. Now, there's not that many comparisons except one. January 31st. What happened on January 31st? That was the day that Trump implemented Chinese travel restrictions. And everybody agrees with us now in hindsight. Right. But at the time, Biden called that xenophobic. Democrats were wildly against these things. That has to be brought up. That is the deciding factor as it relates to the pandemic for 2020. Everything else, listen, I've debunked this wildly on through my videos and through my interviews. That this notion that the Trump administration has bungled this whole thing and that they deliberately misled people or that they deliberately ignored things. I've gone in excruciating detail to prove that's not true. Not because I want to defend the president. I just want to defend the truth. This is about the truth about what happened. And as it relates to the pandemic, that's what we have to be talking about in 2020.
Yeah. You know, Kat, I think Joe serves as a great example of how to thwart serious Me Too allegations. He did a great job just by being a Democrat running for president, because that's enough to get everybody off his back.
I think he did a great job, not because of these endorsements, but because, you know, what else has he done in that time? Like,
yes.
Nothing. And that's the point. So it's not even really accurate to say that he has gotten more popular. It's that less of him has gotten popular. And I'm not saying that there's nothing to like about the guy ever. I mean, you know, he's kind of got that sense of humor about himself, that sort of thing. But as it turns out, it's more like the way you like, you know, your wacky uncle in real life, right? You'll be thinking to yourself, you know, Uncle Steve, he's kind of, you know, a cool, zany guy. Then Thanksgiving rolls around. You're actually there with Uncle Steve, and you're like, is there mescaline in the turkey, or is Uncle Steve trying to swim right now? What's going on? So that's kind of what Joe Biden's got going for him, that zany, crazy Uncle Steve that people, it turns out, love way harder when he's in a basement, just like your Uncle Steve.
Yeah. Tyrus, last word to you. How do you think his campaign's going?
Well, you might ask yourself, why is he not up 50 points? Because he's Joe Biden. And waiting for that endorsement.
Yes.
I think he's doing the best thing he could possibly do. Say nothing, and even when he says something, he doesn't quite finish it. I believe the term is Nobel Peace Prize, not Nobel thing, but sometimes it's good enough. When you're an old white man, and you know I've been on this, you can get away with anything.
Yes.
You can chop the English language up, and they'll still say, wow, you know, for an old white guy, he's so well-spoken. And I'm like, but he's not. He's not. These old white men, they just doing it. He's doing nothing, and he's winning. He's literally blue steel. He only turns right, and everyone thinks it's phenomenal. He's got one move, and you know, good for him. Congratulations.
Yeah, he's got the aviator sunglasses, which still look great on him. All right, time for a break. This time, really scrub under those fingernails. Some more examples of things that are canceled. My favorite sporting event of the year has been axed. The National Spelling Bee is being canceled for the first time since World War II. That's like in the 1940s. Sorry, 8th graders, your quest for superior spelling glory is over. For reaction, we turn to a nerd.
Why? W-H-Y? Oh, God.
Speaking of dreams dashed, the hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse has postponed their annual gathering of the Juggalos. For the uninitiated, which are few, a Juggalo is anyone who's a fan of the Posse. They've been gathering annually for about 20 years. In a statement, the Posse said, quote, "We refuse to risk even one Juggalo life by hosting a gathering during these troubling times. They are heroes." And finally, Oktoberfest, one of the biggest, disgusting festivals in the world, will not be held in Germany this year. It draws over 6 million people and pours out over 1 million gallons of beer. A lot of puke. Here's part of the announcement made by the Bavarian premier.
We agree that the risk is simply too high. I invite the 6 million global citizens who would have attended Oktoberfest to watch the Greg Gutfeld show instead. Such a funny little man, Greg often sends me photos of himself topless, wearing lederhosen, under the screen name The Dwarf from Dusseldorf.
That is so not true. So not true. Anyway, Congressman Crenshaw, is there any events that you're sorry are being canceled?
I'm sorry Oktoberfest is being canceled. I understand it, obviously. I understand that. Well, I wonder if people aren't thinking creatively enough on some of these things. I don't understand why you can't have a spelling bee and simply televise it. You don't have to crowd a bunch of people in a room together. Now, there's some silver lining to that, which is all of us adults who can't spell these really difficult words don't look like idiots in front of these 8th graders. So, you got to look for the silver lining. But I think we just have to be smart going forward, and we've got huge events planned at the end of the year. We're not canceling them yet. I'm not saying they're definitely going to happen. We're going to have to be nimble. We're going to have to be flexible, and we're going to have to see what the situation looks like.
Yeah, Tyrus, I had an idea of combining the Spelling Bee, Oktoberfest, and the Juggalos, so you could have people in clown makeup getting drunk on German beer, trying to spell words we never use.
So you want a regular Friday night in Louisiana with lots of makeup, drinking, and really weird ways to say words. I think it's too bad that the Oktoberfest got me heartbroken. I even have an Oktoberfest mug from years back. I think you shouldn't cancel Oktoberfest till October. Maybe just wait. Let's see how things going. There's been some good news as far as hearing about vaccines might be ahead sooner than later. Let's see how social distancing goes in, let's say, June, July, maybe going into August, and maybe in the middle of August go, I don't know. But I think to cancel it now when it's so far off, to me, just is kind of defeating to hear that.
Kat, I love a good spelling bee, but what the hell is a bee? Like, is that a word for a contest? Like, do you want to catch the Giants bee when they play the Jets? Why do they get bees?
I don't know. But I want to talk about the Juggalo thing because I think it should be getting more attention, okay?
Okay.
I went to the gathering of the Juggalos to make a video in 2016. I took the Greyhound bus there directly from the RNC in Cleveland, and it was hands down the craziest experience of my life, which is saying something, okay? None of the people I interviewed said a single thing that I could legally say on television right now, okay? An expletive-laced story from a guy about how he had blown up a porta potty, as in using explosives, the night before, why a woman was still in it, was the most sane and most appropriate thing that I saw. The video's online. Feel free to check it out. Wait till your kid's in bed. Maybe wait till they are, at home or out of the home entirely, moved out for college. But that's my point, is that this is a really whoa, what moment, bigger than I think it's getting credit for, because kids who like to spell for fun, it's not shocking to me that they might be afraid. They're probably afraid of a lot of stuff. But for a Juggalo to say, you know what, I don't think this is safe or responsible. I never, as someone who went to one of these, ever thought I would see the day.
Yes, they have something called like Drug Lake, where people just go and get drugs out of a lake.
It's called Drug Bridge. I interviewed someone about it. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I got it all wrong. Dagan, I don't mind the Oktoberfests because I don't like people who go to drink to just drink. It bothers me. So I'm okay with it.
Right. Oktoberfest should be canceled forever. SantaCon should be canceled forever. Any belch and bloat fest should be canceled forever. And while we're at it, let's cancel all bachelorette parties. You can't be near a body of water trying to get a single cocktail without being near a group of women going, "Hey, my gosh, she's getting married." Yeah, you're getting married to your third husband, and he's still in prison. So sit down and shut up.
All right. On top, I got to go. But on top of that, we might not have New Year's Eve in Times Square anymore. How awesome would that be? No more ball-dropping madness. All right. My favorite topic is next, back in 220 seconds. All right. What happens in Vegas could kill us. Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman got in hot water after announcing her intentions to reopen the city. Hotel and casino workers say they're hesitant to return until effective safety measures can be put in place. But the mayor should know, just because something is open doesn't mean people will show up. I learned that with my robe. So, is it a wise move to open the casinos, which are not known for having empty spaces to roam? You're pretty much on top of each other. Are you going to have people rolling disposable dice 9 feet from the craps table? Is it one person per blackjack table? Just you and a dealer in a hazmat suit? And what if there's an outbreak and it's traced back to a poker table? What's the legal consequence there? It truly is a gamble, not just for Vegas, but for most business in general. Anyway, my friend Snowball can't wait to hit the tables again. No idea. No idea why anyone would do that day again. This is quite a challenge because I feel bad for people who can't get to work and do their jobs. But how do you social distance in a casino?
You don't. You can't social distance on an airplane flying to Las Vegas to get there. But I like how this woman, the mayor, was being grilled about reopening the casinos. The casinos on the Strip actually aren't under her authority. They're part of Clark County. She's not even overseeing the casinos that, well, most tourists would actually go to. But I'll say this, if Ace Rothstein was still running that town, everything would be okay.
Yeah, that's true. What virus? Kat, the irony is, like, you could win $500,000 on the slot, but die of coronavirus. So it's like, why do this? I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to bash I feel bad for the Vegas population.
Yeah, I just, in this interview, right, she was like, we have to open it up. You know, that she was saying to Anderson Cooper, and then he was like, okay, how do we keep people safe? She's like, don't know, open it up. And I immediately thought of an episode of The Simpsons where Homer has a heart attack. And Dr. Hibbert says, we can't fix his heart, but we can tell you exactly how damaged it is. This is kind of the same thing because she was kind of saying she had the answer, that the answer was open it up. But that really wasn't an answer so much as a goal, right? Because she didn't know how to actually get there. And the problem, she's right, it is super damaged. The economy is floundering. And when I say economy, I mean people's lives, people's purposes that they've worked so hard for and sacrificed for. So that is very serious. But just announcing, hey, this is bad, announcing a goal doesn't really do any good if you don't have any concrete steps. That's not the same as a solution.
Kat, that's absolutely right. It's systems over goals. Congressman Crenshaw, couldn't they set up stuff outside? I mean, I know this is crazy, but, you know, they're talking about how the virus doesn't really spread outside. To have, like, betting games that scratch the itch and do it in parking lots, or is that nuts?
I mean, it's Vegas. It's summertime. There's a huge outdoor scene in Vegas. Yeah. On the other hand, you know, it has long not been true that what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. Okay, yes. Since the advent of social media, that hasn't been true, and it's not true during a pandemic either. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, I am one of these people too who says, listen, let's have a staged reopening. Let's do it safely and smartly, but we have to start. And so while she totally botched that interview, we need to be looking for the right ways to actually open up our economy. This is not sustainable. It's just not.
Yeah, it can't. Tyrus, what do you think?
All right. Before I have to respectfully disagree with Kat. She did have a plan. Her plan was simple. Open it up. How are you going to do that? Not my problem. Let everybody else figure out. But her plan was open it up.
All right. That's enough for now. More stuff after this. All right, we are out of time. Thanks to Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Great job. Dagan McDowell, love you. Kat, awesome. Tyrus, great. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America. Keep loving me.